Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, Eskom has implemented stage 2 load shedding. The power cuts began at 4 p.m. and will remain in effect until tomorrow at 5 a.m. The state-owned power utility points to higher than expected electricity demand, the loss of generating units and extensive planned maintenance as reasons that put a strain on the generating system. Eskom has urged the public to use electricity sparingly to help reduce pressure on the grid. The last load shedding announcement was on the 19th of March. Joining us for more on the announced load shedding is Professor Hartmut Winkler from the Department of Physics at the University of Johannesburg. Professor, good evening and thank you very much for your time. So load shedding has made a return once again, and many would say highlighting the instability of the country's power grid. Your views on today's announcement?
Yeah, well, I'm afraid this is a sort of thing we're going to be facing still for another couple of years, where we certainly are looking a lot better than about a year ago or a year and a half ago when we had all this endless load shedding. But we still are in a situation where currently only about 60%, at any particular time, only about 60% of Eskom's power generating capacity is up and running. So it means that they are still in a if you like, in a crisis mode, and if too many things go wrong at once, then things are going to look bad, and we could then overstep that mark where Eskom simply cannot hold back, where the demand exceeds what they're able to offer at any particular moment, and then they're forced to go into load shedding. And I'm afraid that happened today.
Because it seems every time we get such an announcement in the midst of a cold snap, I mean, it reminds us that there's an urgent need for some sort of long-term solution. So what could possibly be that long-term sustainable energy solution here?
Yes, well, what Eskom's been doing is trying to get the coal power stations, which ultimately produce the bulk of South Africa's electricity, to work better. But I'm not sure if they can do much better on that front, given that these power stations are now quite old, that they've experienced a lot of breakdowns in the past. So they've done well there. We could be a lot worse if we. But ultimately, I think we need some more modern, new power facilities to be built, and that could either be the solar plants. That's international trends. That this is what most. What is being built most, but there are other options as well. It's just that those might take a lot longer to actually build. So in the short to medium term, it's only really solar that's going to help. They are potentially looking at a new nuclear plant. There will probably be a few more extra wind projects. There may be some gas, but certainly until those things come up and running, we are still going to be in this difficult situation. And even the solar plants are not coming on as fast as they could. If we compare ourselves to a country like China, for example, they've shown how quickly you can actually upgrade your power facilities. We are nowhere close to that.
But are the limitations not partly due to capital here? Because when we keep hearing it's that in as much as we're talking renewables, there's now a broader conversation around the transmission infrastructure, that we need a lot of money in the region of billions to actually ensure we have the transmission power lines for all this renewable energy to be part of the grid.
That's if you want to build all your solar plants and so on in the areas where they are most effective, which happens to be the Northern Cape and the western parts of the country in general. You can, however, also still build renewable facilities just about anywhere. While the Northern Cape is by far the best, even Gauteng is way better than most places in Europe. So,
but Professor, it seems as though
some plants are being built there. It's just.
Pardon me for interjecting there, but it seems as though there was an appetite to actually have them by the source, that the source of the energy is where you will transmit from and then connect to the grid. So if that is the case, that means we need a lot of capital. That will be quite capital intensive if we talk about that transmission infrastructure, is it not?
Yes, if you want to build, go ahead with it. And they are going to build that. I think in any case, they needed to do something about the grid. They hadn't been adding as much to that for a while now, simply because they'd been needed all the money for Kusile and Medupi. But there's nothing stopping Eskom, and they are doing this already. They're building solar plants right next door to some of their coal plants, and there this whole question of the grid transmission isn't the issue. It just means that you're not going to get quite as many sunny days as you would if you were in the Northern Cape, but it's still excellent by international standards.
And then the ramping up of planned maintenance, you've just emphasized before this that still these coal-powered stations are old now. That in as much as we've heard the minister indicate that what is really going to ensure that they are used for quite longer is if we have a lot of this planned maintenance. They've ramped it up, but still we find ourselves having these kind of cold snaps, and then we're told that the demand just far exceeds the supply.
Eskom has said that in the past week they have been doing unusually much maintenance, probably more than they had initially planned. So I don't know to what extent things caught them out, but they are now in a rush to get everything done before the winter break. As we get towards June, July, the planned maintenance is going to be reduced to next to zero. So I think we're still trying to fit in as much as possible. The question is, do you do maintenance when it looks like it's safe to do so? It's never 100% safe. I think the maintenance itself wasn't what caused the problem now, but there were probably some other breakdowns which Eskom hasn't told us exactly where and how large these breakdowns are. But clearly they were caught out by a failure at one of their plants, but they haven't said where and they haven't said for how much. If it wasn't for that, they'd probably be okay. But they might also have had delays with the completion of the maintenance work. They did say about a week ago that they were expecting about 3 or 4 stages of load shedding worth of power to come back to the grid around about Tuesday or so. So it's 2 days ago. Maybe there were delays. One of the problems with Eskom is that they're not as forthcoming with information as they should be. You normally find out them giving the bare minimum. It would certainly, I think, make the public a lot happier if they knew exactly what was happening, even if the news are maybe not what they're hoping for.
It seems in this instance it was a combination of issues, that they had the breakdowns, they also had planned maintenance, and then unfortunately we had this cold snap now, so it meant that a number of people are using more energy than would ordinarily be needed.
Yes.
So it seems it was a combination of factors. But just in closing, what is the impact of the moisture content of the coal on load shedding, if at all? Because we used to hear this quite often back then, where there was a conversation around the coal being wet. Is there such a concept of moisture content of coal impacting or possibly contributing to load shedding at any point?
If it's managed correctly, it shouldn't be an issue. Certainly the coal is transported to the coal plants quite a long time before it's planned to be burned, several weeks before. So they should at any particular moment have enough coal at their various coal power stations to keep going for quite a while, more than the rainy period we've just had now. So I think that in itself shouldn't be an issue unless they had some problems before that with transport of coal, but they didn't say anything to that effect.
All right. Professor, thank you very much for your insights this evening. That's energy analyst Professor Hartmut Winkler speaking to us there.